How you going, mate? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, dude.
Good. How'd you go in that session?
Yeah, actually really good. Impressed or pleased myself with the one I own deads. Definitely haven't been as consistent with training this year as I'd like, so
Sure.
yeah, 180. Like content, wouldn't say I'm happy, but like content with being able to pull that. And then
Nice.
never really tested strict press, so that was 65.
Cool.
So good way to, well, good, interesting way to end the year with just some metrics or some data to kind of lead into the new year of some goal setting and see what I can accomplish from there on out. But yeah, you're looking forward to, you got ideas about what you want to hit?
Yeah, I think I pulled 182.5 last week for a double, and I was thrashed. So I feel actually fresher this week.
Yeah.
So hopefully 185. And I was thinking I was walking to get a coffee before, and I was thinking I should start working in pounds because it sounds way better. I don't know if that's 400 pounds. I'm not sure, but
like your next metric, like just like I just want another 100.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I think that's a cool way to break it up. And then you might have closer increments or more increments, I should say. So it's like 400 pounds, 200 kilos, 450 pounds, 210, and just like slowly creep up like that.
Just change it every time.
Yeah.
So regardless of it, like irrespective of who you're talking to.
Exactly.
Makes yourself feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
What about strict press? You haven't tested that out?
Yeah, back in the day, I was going through a heavy strength block for a while where I hit some good numbers. I wasn't fit at all. So I've just kind of like teetered between, I guess, being fit or having a fitness focus and having a strength focus. Now I'm kind of right in the middle of the two, which I feel good about.
Yeah.
I feel like my strength is comparable. It's not going to ever probably be as strong as I was because I was about 10 kilos heavier and only working on that. So for my back squat, I would say it's 140, possibly 145, which is right under 2 times body weight at about 80 kilos right now, maybe 82. And strict press, I'm hoping for just under 1 times body weight, so 75 maybe.
Yeah, okay.
I think I could pretty comfortably hit 70, but again, I haven't tested it for ages.
Yeah.
Not at all this year. This will be my first testing block this year, halfway through December, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. What's your, like, what would you say is go-to, like, pulling test in terms of upper body pull?
Max pull-up seems to be like a pretty consistent one for me in terms of, I guess, like a strength test.
It's not
and for me,
a bit more, like, that's definitely relative. It'd have to be some sort of row.
Yeah, I guess pen lay is a good one.
Yeah.
But I've never really maxed out on the pen lay for some reason. It's always just been the back squat, the deadlift, the strict press, the bench press, the classics.
So it'd be such a hard metric, form to monitor the pen lay, because you just like, even at lightweight, you see people absolutely flog themselves and butcher it.
Yeah, you can really sling that weight up. That's why it's so hard, I feel, with those kinds of movements. Once you start getting into more niche movements, having that consistency, there's like 3 or 4 rules to testings. Repeatability, reliability, consistency, and one other, or maybe that's it. And I feel like the more niche you get with the movement, like, you know, I guess even a bicep curl, you could really have some strict standard rules. I guess you could have that with everything, I suppose.
Yeah, but I can't remember last time I tested a bicep curl.
100 max bicep curl.
100 bicep.
That's the most bro thing you can do, I think.
Yeah, I'd imagine there'd be a few at the Globos.
Oh yeah,
not great.
It'd be interesting to see though.
Oh yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if some people knew.
Oh yeah,
people would know.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I would have no idea. Besides when I'm re-racking a client's bar, and I'm like, I wonder if I can curl without deadlifting.
Deadlift.
Yeah. Or if you're spotting someone, it's like, I wonder how much of that weight, they're doing a bench press or something, you're standing over them and they fail. And it's like, I wonder how much of that weight I just lifted off them.
True.
Do you ever think that? Like how much help you've given them? Whether that's...
I try not to give them any, so not really.
Yeah. Until they're like going purple in the face.
Until it's not backwards, then it's more of a...
True.
Probably a bit of shrug in there as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it wouldn't be a strict bicep curl.
No.
Yeah. But in terms of strength testing, I'd be pretty keen to just increase everything pretty much by 20 kilos, I would say. So
what, for next year?
Yeah, that would be, by this time next year, I would say. And because I've been able to lift heavier in the past, I think I could get back to that point faster the second time around.
but leaner. Like you want to stay low.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to blow back out to 92 kilos. I was pretty unhappy, and I think it was like a band-aid.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm pretty big in terms of like in a bad way, or in a less of a positive way, I suppose. But I was kind of masking it, I guess, with like how much I could deadlift, how much I could back squat.
But I can do this.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure. I'm like sweeping all this trauma under the rug, but I can back squat 107 kilos, like, whatever. Yeah. I would like to get close to that, as close as I could, while maintaining like a low 80s body weight.
Yeah.
What do you think for next year?
Oh mate, I think it's all relative to body weight. So I've got numbers that I'm chasing.
Sure.
But I think if I lean out, those numbers will drop.
Yeah, they're recording.
Yes, yeah, but I think I still want those actual numbers because, there's something, I don't want to have the same numbers and be lighter body weight because you still only have a back squat in that weight.
Yeah, right.
The priority for me next year is changing to probably more cardio, longer distance. So doing more half marathons and that sort of stuff. So if that's the priority, I feel like I will lean out. But I think that will help me with my consistency of my training, especially with my lifestyle.
Yeah.
With travel. So trying to be running, you can do anywhere. So that's kind of like, look, there's no excuses for not doing it when I'm traveling. If I can get now having never done, I didn't know I'm going to do strict press this week. So having never done that, maybe do a 1 times body weight for that, 1.5 for bench, 2 for squat, 2.5 for deads.
Sick.
So if I stay at 80, that's 80, 120, 160, 200.
Yeah.
And those numbers just are really clean. So even if I drop below, it's like, I still want those numbers.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I don't want to be like, I hit 195 dead and I was 78.
Right.
I still want the 200.
Yeah.
So
that's what you weigh right now? You weigh about 80?
I actually have no idea.
Yeah.
I sit around 80.
Yeah.
I think mid hockey season this year I dropped to about 78.
Just with the increase in load intensity and stuff.
Just like pure, training 1.5 times a week and then a game, maybe go for a run during the week. Training was probably a bit more consistent, so the conditioning side of things just led to the weight just going. So I want to eat according to, like, half marathons will be priority, so a little bit more carb and that sort of stuff.
Sure.
But I don't want to forego the absolute strength of bench, dead, squat.
Sure.
I've always had dicky shoulders, so if I could increase, having never tested a strict press, I think I jumped from 50 to 70 today, and just was like, oh, that's a bit of a jump.
Yeah.
So drop back to 60, then 65, which was a good push.
Yep.
But if I can get that up, that's a huge jump, 15 kilos in a year. But for an untrained part of my body, I don't feel like I train shoulders effectively. Maybe a bit more technique work as well, rather than just try and muscle it up. I think it's achievable. I have no doubt that, with my, like I said before, the deads with no training this year, or minimal training, specific training. Like if I did a good 12-week block, they'd be 185 to 190.
Yeah.
So if I've got 52 weeks to try and hit 200, I think that's achievable. Squat, we'll find out Wednesday. That's one that's always been, it used to be a strength. I think I hit 155 when I was high 70s. But if I hit 150 this week, I'll be stoked.
Yeah.
Just like real tight hip flexors, adductors are short. Probably, I think last time I got under the bar, I just wasn't even thinking. So I didn't even think about hips back and down, knees out as they come up.
Yeah.
I just dropped and I was like, oh, fuck, I've got to get
under
back up.
100 kilos. Yeah.
So just a little bit more prep. But I find like even this morning, I can't remember the last time I had a full stretch, did some massage guns on my legs. Even got Zoe to massage gun my hamstrings and glutes before I came for probably 10 minutes each leg.
Sick.
And then it's like, well, obviously you're going to probably lift more because you've prepped more.
Yeah.
Because even mentally, like you've allowed yourself an extra 25 minutes, was on the bike for 10 minutes before we started, that sort of stuff. So you don't do that on a normal Monday going in.
I think that's good though, having that. There's a little bit of anxiety around test week, and I think it brings the best out of people mostly.
Yeah.
Sometimes like egos get in the way, and maybe it brings some bad things out of people, but otherwise I feel like the mental preparation for me is the most important thing. If I'm switched on and I'm really And I really take my training seriously at the moment. So I'm going to do everything I can in order to prepare really well.
Yeah.
And not everyone's like that, obviously.
No.
But for me, the mental preparation is huge. Make sure I get a good night's sleep and, not going out and drinking on the weekend prior and, drinking my 3 or 4 liters of water a day and fueling properly and all this stuff. And it really sets you up and it just shows you what you could achieve in the other 51 weeks of the year. I think that's massive. Is for a lot of people in here, they're like, oh my God, I could actually do that.
Yeah.
I could actually lift that amount of weight. And then when they go into a workout where there's maybe more reps of the same lift, like a deadlift, for example, they're like, well, I put 110, so I should be able to do, sets of 5 at like 85.
It's interesting though, because like you just said, say you get the 25-30% that are actually eating right, sleeping well, hydrating, not going out last weekend to prep for testing week, and they pull, some of the ladies might hit like 110, like you say, and then they drop down to a percentage. Then they haven't had that prep, and they can't hit those percentages for reps. I'm curious to see how that affects people, because I just like it. We know it. It's common knowledge for health professionals, I'd imagine. It's like, well, if your body's mentally, physiologically prepped for exercise or to accomplish a goal, you're possibly more likely going to hit it. But you can't just walk in and do that the next day.
That's true.
So hopefully, there is some adaptation in people's lifestyles off that and getting an understanding of like, all right, cool, I can actually do that and I feel really good. So let's build off that. And I think tracking, like for me, having gone 4 months this year with absolutely no drinks, I just know how beneficial and how much more optimal my body can operate. Fully cut out dairy, just like certain little, just small inflammatory markers for myself, just made me be like on a bit more. The right nutrition and all that sort of stuff. Your body can operate so suboptimally that you don't really know how optimal it can operate.
So true.
Because we exist at between 60 and 80% most of the time, because we want to indulge in that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Or you're not as disciplined with your water intake or your sleep. Or
10 coffees before 10 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the rule, right?
Yeah.
10 before 10.
No, absolutely. I think that's to people. I think people know. It's like, look, but I'm happy to sacrifice, pulling an extra 10 kilos from the floor, because what does that really do for me? I'm going to lose my friends if I don't go out on the weekends. It's quite a hilarious, compromise that people put themselves in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's finding those things out about yourself. What am I doing that's inhibiting, and what am I doing that's facilitating performance, I suppose.
Yeah.
If people take that training that seriously, which hopefully a lot of people do, especially in the gym, that we train at. So what do you feel like, if you were to summarize what your diet looks like when you're optimizing for performance?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Honestly, I think it's a case of calorie intake increases. Like I definitely don't eat enough for the amount of mental and physical work I put my body through. So it's purely a case of, cool, if I'm on, I need to eat food. I have like a plan for food. It's wake up, it's 2 eggs on toast, train, come home, smoothie. I even have vitamins before I train, and normally have like a greens powder just to really bump up anything that I've missed.
Do you have a particular brand for that?
Sorry?
Do you have a brand for the greens powder that you like?
Whatever's best value for money.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you ill. Some of them can make you quite ill. I think when you have them on an empty stomach. No brand ambassadors here, not yet. No, nothing really. Like I've tried True Protein. I've tried Nature's Own. I've tried bulk nutrients. I think it is, or bulk essential nutrients, something like that. They will do the job. They will just give you a little bit. Like it's just more for me. Maybe if I'm not having enough greens in the evening throughout the day, which I know I don't, based off my next meal being chicken and rice more often than not, and then I might have some oats with almond milk and fruit. So just like pure carb, and then evening is protein and veg. Some sort of chicken, fish, steak, and salad, or roast veg, or whatever. So that's a good eating day. As soon as I miss out the chicken and rice, the oats, just overall calorie intake drops. And I can easily get through a day without having those because I'm busy.
Yeah.
and you just end up. So then it becomes literally egg and toast, smoothie, dinner. Even sometimes I have a snack in there when I'm really looking to eat. So I think that, and then even more so, you don't get that 3 o'clock wane because you've got more fuel, or that craving for a coffee that you have at 2 p.m. It's actually probably just need some water and some food.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. On a hot day or a humid day like it is today, I just feel like I can never get enough water in. So I really push for at least 3 liters a day. Sometimes I'll dip lower than that, but if I'm ever under 2 liters, I'm like,
you feel it.
It affects everything.
Yeah.
How I wake up the next day, my performance that day, my mood, all kinds of stuff. Like general well-being, just how I feel in general. So 4 liters for me is like optimal. Any more than that's like point of diminishing returns, I think, and I'm just kind of going to the bathroom more frequently and not really getting as much benefit out of it. So 3 to 4 liters, I think, is pretty good. So you found that what you're eating right now is, or on a good day, you said, you found that to be optimal for performance?
Yeah, absolutely. Like performance in the gym, out of the gym. Like I count work as performance as well.
For sure.
Brain function. So, and for those that know, and if you don't, you probably find out real quick, very routine oriented. So if I don't plan food, I won't eat.
Yeah.
So I need to plan food. So I'm already thinking about putting the rice cooker on, making sure I've got some rice to have with the chicken later. I've already had oats this morning, so I might have eggs later. That sort of stuff.
I'm not really at all.
What, planner?
Not a planner. I'm very impulsive in pretty much every aspect, if you can believe it. I wouldn't say I'm an opportunist because I feel like there's a negative connotation to that, but I love opportunities.
Yeah.
In going out and having brunch and having a coffee. I've got like the worst rubber arm ever. I'm a yes guy.
Yeah.
In business stuff, in whatever. I want it all and I want to do everything. And if stuff falls if I start something and it falls by the wayside, then that's just how it happens. But that includes food.
Yeah.
for
sure.
Where go out for brunch, have a coffee, have 2 coffees. Yeah, for sure, man, no problem. Or go out for lunch or whatever, like see my partner for lunch. She just works around the corner, which is perfect. So I'm less regimented.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you find your nutrition is affected by? Like how do you find that affects your nutrition?
Higher calories probably than necessary.
More calories?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like I train a lot and I've got a fairly physical job with running the gym and doing the coaching stuff and my training and doing stuff with the footy clubs and whatnot. I feel like I'm on my feet all the time. So maybe that's my excuse for saying, like this week, for example, I'm like, all right, higher calories, we're going to be overreaching.
Yeah.
So I can get away with having some more stuff in my day. Nothing that's massively negative or that has really high calorie amounts.
Yeah.
Because no food's really positive nor negative, but nothing that has massive amounts of calories, but I'll just eat a lot throughout the day.
Yeah.
Still fairly good. Like I'll have a steak and I'll probably cook like more roast veg with it, or have like another piece of sourdough, or the butter's a little thicker than normal, or that kind of stuff. Like it just creeps in.
Are you more of a bigger meal person, like more on the plate, or more meals?
More on the plate.
More on the plate.
Yeah, I feel like sitting and eating a meal is like I'm wasting time because I am so impulsive and fast paced. I would rather eat, if I could, just one huge meal with 4,000 calories and
I
be done.
The same, but for the opposite. So it's like I eat food so quick, so I'd rather have more meals because like the more is on there, the more it's going to the longer it will take me.
Yeah.
Because if I can just cool, have a little bit now, then a little bit again, then a little bit again.
Yeah.
It's like that anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love the feeling of being satiated.
Yeah.
When you finish the big meal and you're like, oh,
really?
Gene button under.
Like
like Christmas Day is the best thing.
Oh no.
You don't like it? You'd rather just be like, all right, I'm fueled up enough.
Yeah, and like just enough, keep going. I get very uncomfortable when I'm over full.
Right.
I just like, because then that is like, that's more discomfort, and I'm thinking about that. So that eats into my next thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, no, I eat to perform.
Yeah.
I very rarely, Christmas Day, like certain occasions, I want you to enjoy.
Sure, it's different.
But of an evening, it's like, cool, I want to eat this because I want to do the next thing.
Yeah, true.
I finished dinner.
I went through a big phase of that, and I still do think about I take my training so seriously, so of course I'm fueling my body for that, and again trying to be as optimal as I can for performance. But I went through a period where I was probably like 17 or 18. I think most young dudes kind of go through like a bodybuilding phase when they first get into fitness.
Yeah.
It's like the lowest barrier to entry. You go in, you lift weights, you don't have to think too much about like rep ranges and stuff. And being a young dude, you're so malleable. You can just see all this adaptation so quickly. And for the longest time, I was like getting into that, and you got all this testosterone, and you're like, you're like a young bull. And you go in and you chest 3 days a week. You rarely touch a bar and a squat rack. And I just found that I didn't have to worry so much about the nutrition side of things because I could kind of out-train that. Whereas now, like 27, it's more important to me, and maybe that's because I've learned more about the topic. The Dunning-Kruger effect, where you learn something about a topic and then you realize you know nothing, and then you learn some more and then you're like really confident about the topic, and then you realize, oh my God, I know nothing compared to some of these people. And I feel like I've just gone through waves of that, and really I know now, besides like I just try and eat plants and animals and drink lots of water and avoid processed carbs, and other than that, it's like that's pretty much all I need. I don't focus too much on meal timing or even macronutrients so much. I just try and get some protein in pretty much every meal.
And I think that's, like you mentioned something there about that effect of the more you learn, the less you know. And that's such a, like going a little bit off tangent, but like that's such a, so prevalent, I think a lot of people's lives when it comes to the people that you surround yourselves with, because you would rarely surround yourselves on a day-to-day basis with people who aren't of your ilk, who aren't alike, and therefore you feel like your education or your knowledge is broad, like everyone knows the same thing, so therefore your value is diminished. And I think that's quite an interesting concept that people don't grasp, and I can only speak for our industry, but it's like there's so much out there when it comes to social media. Like there is nothing new in the world. There's nothing new in the world of exercise or health. You just need to train often and eat well. And obviously people's definitions of eat well vary, and there are nuances to that based on body types and blood types and all that sort of stuff. But for the majority, if they were just to eat slightly better, for want of a better term, and train or move more often, you're going to see a good result.
Sure.
However, trying to package that up in this industry and sell it, you think, I can't say that, everyone else is doing that, or but there's no value in that. But yet again, you're around the people that know the knowledge. You're not targeting the people around you. You're targeting the people that aren't around you.
So true.
And I think that's probably one of my biggest takeaways from this year. Not that I didn't know it already, but just to empower people to have the confidence to back themselves in what they know. I think, what was it? I asked a question of someone recently, like what is one thing for yourself that's going to make 2022 a success? And it's to have more trust in themselves, like to have more belief in themselves and what they can do, even though probably everyone around them believes that they can do it. But it's just your own self-belief in what your skill set is, or what your knowledge is, or what your capacity is, that you have this self-doubt. And again, it's possibly because you're just around the people that can do the same or more or slightly less, so therefore you feel like your talents are watered down. Right. And yet massively off tangent, but I think that effect that you mentioned is just so prevalent in today's society, and it's probably one of the reasons we potentially wanted to start this. So this is something that I've definitely been keen to do for a long time, and start up some sort of conversational podcast, is because, or why I haven't, sorry, because there's so many around, and there's all of these people doing the same thing, talking about all these topics, but that's because they're the ones that I listen to. They're not the ones that, maybe the people that I and friends with, family with, a greater network out there that listen to podcasts, if at all. And I think the benefit of having this sort of platform is just creating more vulnerability and awareness around young to middle men, middle-aged, young to middle-aged men. What would we be? Pre-middle-aged men. Pre-middle-aged men that don't talk. That don't talk about, like, there's a lot of bravado around people in our age and our age bracket and that sort of stuff, and ego and all that sort of stuff, and it's I think there's far less of the vulnerability side. And that's one of the things that I think is important to talk about, because we all have a very similar journey to this point, and then from there it's the lessons you've learned in the formative years, and I count formative years as anything up until post tertiary education or post those first few years of full-time work. Sure. It's a similar pathway. We've just learned different lessons as individuals, or been provided different opportunities because of we've been in the right place, right time, or we know people, and how that tangent veers off even more so as you get older and older. Even though we've all started from a very similar, tree trunk, I guess, as I look outside and see a tree trunk.
Yeah.
And just get further apart, or later on in life you get further apart, or you go closer together, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's so interesting that we could have the same starting point, I suppose. We're 3 years apart,
Yeah.
and it sounds like we've had a pretty similar upbringing, but there's so much nuance to that. And again, as you said, the lessons that someone learns from the same situation. Your parents are together, but my parents broke up when I was 18. And I feel like that was a really pivotal thing for me to kind of kink off on a branch, using your analogy of the tree trunk before, kink off on a different branch and maybe become a little bit more introverted, I suppose, and colder with my emotions and less sharing. Growing up, I was a really affectionate, sharing, loving kid, young dude.
Yeah.
Even playing footy and all that stuff that would maybe inhibit some of those things. I was still pretty much, who I am is who I am, and but then it was a really definitive point in my life at 17 or 18 or 19, something. I think it was 18, and that just kicked me off on this new pathway big time. And it's only really as I've started reflecting on it in the last few years that I've understood that that's what happened. I never really even thought about it, to be honest, until that point. So I think a platform like this is really important for that. And I'm a big reflector on myself. I'm very analytical of everything that I do, whether it be the conversations that I have with people and how I've perceived that they have been left from that conversation, or how they left that conversation, how they were feeling from that conversation, or my own actions and how I responded to certain things. I'm really working at that and trying to get my younger self back.
Yes,
because I feel like I'd really just internalized and I was just in my own skull for the last, almost 10 years, which is pretty crazy to say. But now I've learned the lesson from that, even though it kind of, in some ways it wasted 10 years, but in other ways it really allowed me to propel myself through my career, I suppose, and really head down, ass up, and do some shit throughout that period. Because I didn't have to worry about the emotion side of things, and I could just, the analogy that I use is I'm in a one-man capsule hurtling through space, and there's no space for anyone else in this capsule, whether it be family or friends. And obviously my girlfriend is tagged along. She's tethered herself to to this one-man capsule, and she's along for the ride, and that's amazing. But otherwise it's I'm in this little thing and I'm just hurtling through space, and I'm progressing and I'm achieving all these things, and all these opportunities are coming up, more importantly, which has allowed me to achieve stuff. And I feel like I couldn't have done that in my old self. So I'm thankful for it, but also I'm aware that there are some negatives that come with that, in that there might be some, I'm not sure, commitment issues, or how I respond to certain things, or if I've ever, if my work ethic is ever questioned for whatever reason. That's a big one. I don't know if that's come from that or if that's a separate thing, but I just feel like I'm aware of it now. I'm very aware of that big kink in the road for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like you ever had anything similar to that?
Or
maybe more gradual curve?
Yeah, this is something that gets brought up in, not the first time this sort of question has been posed. More from a, what's been that, what's your life-changing event that caused you to do X? I would say, if anything, maybe traveling to play sport in Europe led me to go, no, I really want to make a career out of health and fitness.
Yeah, cool.
I can't really think of anything like that. That's probably as black and white as it is. Yeah, I can't think of some sort of, specific acute event that really was like, this is the moment where this happened or this changed. Yeah, it might be
If
more
not,
gradual.
that's cool.
Yeah, it might have been more gradual or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think there's definitely, like, I can see parts of what I do now in previous versions of me, but I wouldn't say it's a specific event.
Sure.
More so like the analytical brain or the drive to always want to do something, to never sit still. I can see that in either parents or friends, or this is stemmed from boredom at high school,
Right.
and my acting up comes from boredom. Never satisfied, sort of. Not never satisfied. That's probably not the right phraseology, but constant, like, cool, done that, what's next?
Just
Done that,
hungry,
what's next? Yeah. Wouldn't say hungry. I would say, I don't know, like constantly needing a challenge.
Yeah.
Constantly needing something to take my attention. So sitting, I think, as those close to me will know, being alone. It's not that I'm like, I can't be by myself, but like being alone, I just get bored. It's like, cool, unless I've got a task to do, just sitting and not being challenged, I guess. I just find like, okay, cool, I need to head out. Or that's why I think I enjoy watching sport so much, because sport is the only true reality TV, I believe.
Yeah.
There's no scripting, or unless it's, been butchered, whatever it is.
Match fixed.
There's no scripting, you can't tell what's going to happen next. It's not formulaic.
Right.
So I think that's why I really gravitate towards sport and competition in general. Because I'll watch a chess match. I just love the analytics of just like, cool, who's winning, who's ahead, who's behind, how are they setting out the strategy. So it's like someone or something against someone or something else. I used to be really, really fascinated by war, and not the death and the mayhem, but just like, cool, what's the rationale? How did someone believe so strongly that this was a reason that they could go to war, and they couldn't resolve it through conversation and communication? And again, another big realization in probably the last 18 months to 2 years is that everything ever can be solved with good communication, or can be created with communication. And with a lack of communication comes problems. It's that simple. If you think about, and solved doesn't necessarily mean better. It just means solved,
Right.
Or completed, with less friction. There might be friction, but with less friction.
Sure.
Whereas as soon as we have a preconceived idea of something that someone else is considering or thinking, or another party, or it's like, I'll do this because I think that's what's happening. Just go and talk to them. All that kind of stemmed from what was the one big. I don't really have a big moment in time. But I think just like I just said, like I probably just outlined, like, little stages. I was in the Defence Force for a little bit, and that kind of had like I tried competitive sport a little bit, tried that. I've had a few interactions with people. I used to hate conflict because it meant conversation. It was uncomfortable, so I would avoid conversation. So that would create conflict.
Right.
Whereas now it's like, cool, just have the conversation.
Sure.
My the best reference I could think of is I was dating this girl at the time, and I just knew from maybe a month prior, I was like, this isn't going to work out long term. Great girl, but just different stages or whatever it was, whatever the reason, it wasn't going to work out. That was my opinion. I called up my old man and was like, I'm just not sure. He's like, well, you've probably been thinking this for a little while. It's either going to be done, tomorrow, you'll either be broken up or you won't, and then you still have to have the conversation. If you're not, and then if you don't do it again the next day, you still have to have the conversation. So like 20 minutes later, it was done. Like, it's just to have that realization of like, if I'm prolonging a hard conversation, I still have to have it, and it just gets harder and harder and harder. And so that's something I think I try to instill in my team and that sort of stuff. Of like, whatever your hardest task is, whatever the thing you're putting off the most, complete that first, and then everything's easier from there on out.
I think that comes from overthinking things. Like the anxiety of confrontation is like one of the worst, I feel. whether it's something as simple as like you have to give some feedback to someone because they're not doing the job right, or whether it's like a physical altercation, altercation I should say, not alteration, that's pretty different. A physical altercation is like the same kind of anxiety I feel. And man, just biting the bullet. In my impulsiveness, I feel like that's another positive is that I feel like I can do that just straight away and have that conversation and bite the bullet and be like, oh, you know, it'll suck at the time, but rip the band-aid off, kind of thing. And I feel like that comes from, and the confidence to be able to do that comes from sorting it out first in your head. You know, because if you go in at all emotional and you're all flustered because, you know, someone has said something about you and now you respond straight away, all emotional, and you send a quick text or like a voice message or whatever, or it's face to face, that's where issues will come up. And I feel like taking the opportunity and taking the time to process and think about where they're coming from and put yourself in their shoes. And for me, that comes from like even just going for like a little 30-minute walk. It's crazy the clarity that I would get after a little walk with the dog. You know, 30 or 40 minutes, listen to a podcast or in silence or whatever. And when I come back around, I'm like, I can't believe that this issue that I thought was such a massive issue is now completely clear in my mind. And it's like, oh, okay, like I understand exactly where they were coming from, and I feel so much less anger or you know, anxious about the conversation that I have to have with this person, because now it's like, okay, I can frame this in a way that it's coming from their shoes, not me being like, what do you mean you don't like me as a person, or, you know, whatever the feedback was. Just that little 30 or 40 minutes.
Interesting. I don't know, like I think taking emotion out of a conversation is definitely important, but I would 30, 40 minutes is still rapid. One of the things that we believe in at work is rapid, transparent communication. So it's almost prompting a conversation with that, hey, I want to have, like we call it RTC, like I want to have some RTC with you. And they can be like, and then the person knows, and obviously this is a workplace, so it's an inherently trained and educated value that we have across the team. You can't really go that to someone in your personal life, hey, I want to have some RTC. What are you talking about? But I think that's self-awareness to go, cool, this is how whatever happened transpired, and this is what I want to say about that. And then being able to receive feedback backwards. And at least if you know that you can come away and I said my piece and feel confident in how it was delivered and felt heard, then I think you're okay. I think sometimes I will delay, like going through that strategy you had just mentioned. I've used that in the past, and it just delays and delays and delays. Like, oh, it could be this. Oh, but they could have meant this. Oh, but then maybe if it's like from this director. Oh, I just go up and ask, hey, you said this, what does that mean? Sure. And for me, that helps. Might not always do it, but I feel like I do it a lot more than I used to, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you say you communicated like when you were...
I was a terrible, horrid.
Right.
Horrid at communication, like relationships fail because of it. Bit of ego about it. I don't know if it was like small man syndrome, but I feel like it was small man syndrome.
Right.
Too proud.
Sure.
I would let things get in the way, absolutely, and I feel like I'm a lot more, I think people would laugh if I say patient, but I feel like I'm more patient than what I used to be.
Right.
A little bit more thoughtful and not as reactive. So I can still have the same sort of timeline, but I've thought through the process a lot quicker.
Right.
What about you?
It's a good question. I think definitely now I'm still emotional, passionate, which can get in the way of good communication, because I'm super quick to jump at something, especially in a face-to-face conversation. I feel like it isn't as bad because I'm probably more of a people person, so I feel like everyone's on side. But then maybe that exaggerates whenever I get any negative feedback, because it's like, I thought we were mates. What do you mean you got negative feedback about me? When I was younger, I probably didn't communicate, I don't think. Especially throughout those years of like 17, 18, 19, mum and dad splitting up and all that stuff. Before that, it was all about emotion and you know, love and gratitude and all those things. And I don't think I ever probably even used those words, but I definitely felt it. And now I feel like it's like a 10-year cycle, and I'm just coming back to that and understanding the benefit of showing and feeling those emotions to people that are around you. In terms of communication, face-to-face, I think that's where I excel. In actually having a conversation with someone about their day or their weekend or how they're feeling, or, you know, especially around fitness, because that's just what I've done forever.
Yeah.
Been in gyms, in different settings. Yeah, I feel like face-to-face communication for me is one of my stronger points. I'm not sure. Would you agree, or do you feel like
I think face-to-face, I think for the majority of people, face-to-face conversation is, as you get to this age,
right,
way more powerful. Some people shy away from it for sure. But I think, like, hence we're here, like face-to-face conversations is way more powerful than a text or email or whatever it is. I'd even prefer picking up the phone and having a chat. But yeah, face-to-face is definitely a stronger suit.
Yeah.
Just for even interpretation, like someone's interpretation of a text or whatever it is, it's like there's no tone. And I think, like especially for yourself, it's just engagement with whoever's the listener, whether it be one of your sessions or friends or whatever it is. It's like very vibrant, very engaging, passionate, and that doesn't come across in a text message.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, absolutely, definitely agree.
Have you ever come across someone that wants to predominantly communicate on text, but they're a horrible texter?
Like my whole team.
In,
and that's not fair. I just love phone calls. Like I've
actually got a couple of them on the line now.
No, I think like some of them will agree. We now use really effectively like audio clips. So it's like an audio message, which is I find so much more powerful for two reasons. Can respond when you've got the time, because someone might not be able to pick up the phone, and also you can hear tone, emotion, maybe something super urgent, saying something, hey, I need this done now, is very abrupt and rude in a text message. You're like, hey, I'd really appreciate if you get this done for me, reason being is blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So much easier and quicker to get a conversation over.
It's so efficient.
But yeah, it's verbally than through text. So I think the generation after us will not pick up the phone.
Yeah.
For whatever, like each to their own, but yeah, hopefully they then progress to where we're at and not pick up the phone all the time.
Yeah.
Because it is so much more powerful.
They'll like in Star Wars where it like beams the guy up and he's like on the table. You know, it'd be like a 3D thing of someone standing there, so you can get the full body language and
what are they called? Holograms, like like a full experience.
Exactly.
Hey, here's a video message that's in your room.
Yeah. Imagine that. That's the next best thing in right behind face to face.
Elon's going to bring out the phone. He's developing a phone apparently.
Are you serious?
I think so. Yeah.
Sweet.
And just probably put the phone flat and just come up with his hologram or someone.
Dude,
you know what's going to happen, eh?
Oh, that's if we look at.
I reckon that's max 10 years away. Max. I reckon that's like the next thing.
2031. Yeah.
That like if they're not doing that, if they're not already doing it, I'm just don't know about it. Probably are.
Area 51.
We're not getting onto conspiracy theories.
That's next episode.
That's next episode.
I can't wait. I've been doing a lot of research.
I think one thing that I definitely want to cover off in at least this first chat is some of what you've experienced in 2021, because I know it's been a massive year for yourself in terms of your own growth and development, and coming off the back of not a less than I know you had a lot of energy around 2020 wanting to get in and start to, like you say, you see business opportunities and that sort of stuff, and wanting to jump at them, and you've managed to this year. And if you look upon where were you 12 months ago, which is something that I like to reflect on whenever I'm either going through a really good time or a tough time. It's like, cool, what have you actually accomplished in the last 12 months? What's been something that you feel what have you accomplished this year that you didn't think you would? And then what are maybe some goals you set out at the start of the year that you've absolutely obliterated?
Oh my God, this year has been the biggest year I think so far of my career. In that I left my job for 4.5 years. I was working at the Institute of Fitness, teaching the PT qualification. I finished that up at the end of 2019, so I'm going to go in the last 2 years, if you don't mind, because everything kind of like
flows on.
Yeah,
there's a story.
It's a long story.
Tell me on the journey.
Yeah, so I finished my job there in November of 2019, I believe, and what's that? 2 years ago, so I must have been turning 25. It was my longest job that I had, or maybe it was turning 26. Must have been 25. And 4.5 years I was working there, which for me is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because I'm so sporadic, I guess, or impulsive. I get about an 18-month to 24-month speed bump.
Yeah.
Where whatever I'm doing, it doesn't matter. I'm always like, oh man, I'm stagnant, and I hate stagnation.
Yeah.
Like I have to just keep progressing and moving to the next thing. And for me, for 4.5 years, that was massive. It was the best job I've had because of all the opportunities I had from that, and also all the skills I learned as well. My communication was the biggest thing because I'm standing up in front of a room of 30 people, possibly, of people between the age of 16 and 60 in a teaching setting, literally with a whiteboard and a PowerPoint, and they're there just like looking up at you for 4 hours at a time. It was like, I obviously have to really hone my communication skills there.
100%.
So anyway, I left there at the end of 2019, and then for no real reason, I feel like I just extracted as much as I could have out of that job, which for me is a big marker for like, all right, time to move on or do something else.
For sure.
And throughout that period, I guess because I was PTing up until that point, and I went to uni and I was PTing all through that, and I did 2/3 of my teaching career, degree, and then fell out of that to do this job because that was what I really wanted and it was my dream job. So I went there, and then and throughout that period I had PT, but not as much when I was actually working there because of the hours didn't really allow it.
Yeah.
And then throughout that time, I was thinking more and more, do I actually have it in me to be able to still do this? Can I still hold a conversation with someone one-on-one and not just me talking to 30 people at once?
Yeah.
And can I get them on side enough to want to pay me $90 an hour to train them? And do I actually have the skills to help them achieve their goals? And all these questions started coming up because I was doing it less and less and ticking the box less and less. So I left there and then took a little hiatus for however long, a couple of months, 3 months or something. And I think I started PTing one-on-one again in a big commercial gym the next February or something. I can't remember the exact timeline, but roughly.
Yeah.
And went in there and then did really well. And that was good for me to know that I could do it and progress through that. And then went and did some PT management stuff at the same chain of gyms, but at a different location.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and I was really lucky because I got into that job and I was there for like less than 3 months, and then COVID hit, and without that I would have had no income for however long we were shut for here. I'm not sure if you were in SA then, but
no, we were in Perth too.
Yeah, so we shut, and I was really lucky because I got like government help throughout that period, and honestly that was my biggest period of growth, I think, because I was like, I'm tired of being at the mercy of stuff like this.
Yeah.
And not only that, I was tired of trading my time for money.
Yeah.
Like the trading the hour for X amount, working a day for this much.
Yeah. You're only worth your face value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do, and I'm big on scalability. And I was doing a lot of online programming at the time when I was working at the Institute of Fitness, and had 30 or 40 athletes on there of varying abilities and varying I guess like buy into fitness, and I had some people just training twice a week and some training 6 times a week and different goals and whatnot. So anyway, I held that job throughout the lockdown, and then when we opened back up, it wasn't really the same role that it was when I had first gotten into it. It was more of a management role, in terms of being there to just be there.
Yeah.
Because for the opening hours, we had to have a manager on at all times.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't what I signed up for, because I really wanted to help PTs get into their first PT gig and do it in the right way and hire the right people. And if the people weren't the right people for the job, then tell them why. And again, this kind of comes from like the communication standpoint of learning how to communicate. Hey, you're probably not the right fit, and here's why. Here's what I want you to work on, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And I was really passionate about that. I'm like, I really want to do this in the right way. And anyway, we shut with COVID, and then we came back, and it wasn't that at all. And I was just there, and I was behind the desk, and just signing people in and saying g'day, and doing all that kind of mundane stuff. And then an opportunity came up to work at a big company doing corporate fitness.
Yeah.
And this was at the start of 2020, I believe. And I got a call on the Thursday. I was actually out at brunch. I got a call on the way home, and I started the next Monday.
See.
And I was like, there's no way, I could definitely do both of these jobs.
Yeah.
The other job, because it was just like a management thing, it was just evenings or afternoons and evenings, and this other job was just mornings. I was like, perfect, I can do both.
Ideal.
And then talk to the regional manager, the boss, and my boss, not my direct boss, but my boss's boss basically, and she was like, you can't do both, hand in your resignation, and like you're done by the end of the week. So that was the Friday, and then the Monday I started this new gig, and it was it was great. And it must have been sooner than that. It must have been like January or December the year prior. And then I started this new gig, and I was really lucky for that job because it paid really well.
Yeah.
And it gave me the confidence financially, and also the time, because I was working 7 a.m. till 1 p.m. It was like amazing working hours. It gave me the time to be able to invest both financially and with my time into a space,
For sure.
a gym. So I bought into a gym just around the corner from here, and that was obviously a massive learning curve for me as well, in what it's like to run a business and to integrate yourself into an existing business, and your methodologies and your ideologies and what your beliefs are can be either like seamlessly taken on board, or you can kind of meet some friction.
Yeah.
And it was kind of 50-50,
Yeah,
I think. And I also learned a lot from that as well, in how to communicate effectively. And because I'm so passionate and driven about this thing, I wish I had known 6 months prior, like just go in and just like integrate yourself really slowly and calmly. But I was like, no, I'm like, I really want to do it this way, and there's no, like, it's my way or the highway kind of thing. And, and obviously that was a big learning curve for me as well, in a purely positive way. I definitely could have done it better. But we got to the end result in the end anyway.
Yeah.
And then we maintained that gym for a little while, and then we rebranded recently, and now the space is exactly as I want it. And it's amazing. We've got a really good community, and the coaches are amazing, and the people that are in there are really, really good. And that's how you and I met each other, and it's in a really good place. And now I just do coaching stuff and take a couple of footy clubs through their pre-season, in-season stuff. And besides that, I'm just doing my own training, and that's a pretty long-winded answer to your question. But the last 2 years has just been opportunity after opportunity, and I, being someone that loves that and loves taking on the next thing or the next challenge, it was a godsend, because I could have easily have stayed at my old job of 4.5 years for another 4.5 years. Yeah. Suddenly however, I would have been 30, and I've been in this job for 10 years. That's not that old, but and I could have just been there forever, and I would have extracted more maybe. But I feel like I'm super lucky, very, very thankful that I did have these opportunities come up, and they came up in the exact order that they should have in order for me to be at this point now where I'm, stoked. And I feel like now that I'm not working 40 or 50 hours a week or 60 hours a week, it gives me time to do stuff like this and reflect on myself and how I've grown and how I could have done better and what I did really well, and, etc. Because now I have that time, and I'm not just like in the 9 to 5, like slogging it out, trading my time for money, and, not invested in something that I really believe in and that I'm passionate about, which I am now. So I'm stoked.
I think like something that is a big takeaway for me from that is that you were not right place, right time, but were available to take on opportunities when they presented themselves. And I think that's one of the things that potentially, like goal setting or, really being specific about what you're trying to accomplish, can sometimes not allow, because for two reasons: it can help or it can hinder. And I think if you've got a good end goal, you can always make a decision. If someone presents you something, you can go, it's going to get me closer or further away from my end goal. And if it's going to get you closer, you got to take it. And if it's not, then you just got to say no. As good or as bad that opportunity is. But also, by not having necessarily a very specific end goal, you can kind of run away. And given your, like we alluded to earlier, it's like your personality and your natural ability to converse and build relationships has lent into these opportunities presenting themselves. Right. So it's like, it's not like a specific goal of like, cool, by this time next year I want to own a gym. By 6 months after that I want it to be the gym that I want it to be, and then by 6 months later I want to start a podcast and blah blah. Like, it's not a specific timeline or anything you've necessarily outwardly said. it's more a case of, by the sounds of it, I'm going to prep myself with all the skills and abilities to continue down this path and allow myself to be open to opportunity when it presents itself and then make the decision accordingly. Which I think is, like, did you have goals to start a space?
Yeah, that was always the end goal.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so it was in play for a long time, over a year, where I was looking for a space and going and looking at spaces and working out fit out costs and all that stuff. And it never came to fruition for a multitude of reasons. And honestly, very lucky, because I was so close to signing a $90,000 a year lease, like 2 months before COVID hit.
Yeah, wow.
And it's really up to the landlord's discretion whether they want to charge you or not for that time. And, you know, so that old saying of everything happens for a reason, I strongly believe in that.
Yeah.
I've said that since, like, mum and dad split up.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like that has helped me, because I was never a big planner.
Yeah.
And I'm still not. I plan fitness stuff and I plan strength and conditioning periodization plans and I plan training for myself and my clients, but other than that, it's like, I flex my planning creative muscle that way, and then everything else is just like, all right, let's build this thing, let's become successful in the most genuine way, with the most integrity. That's important for me. But yeah, in answer to your question, I had plans to open a space, but I also understood that it would happen when it would happen. Yeah. And that would be the perfect timing.
Yeah, okay.
And that's just how it's worked out. It's worked out really perfectly.
So without giving super specific detail, you've opened a space.
Yep.
And I know that I got an understanding or an idea about what your next thing is. But what does 2022 kind of like, what does that look like for Luke?
Definitely a second space.
Yeah.
Possibly a third space.
Yeah.
In the same realm, I'm hoping, in fitness and in, health and wellness.
Too.
And then possibly diversifying after that. I really want to get into some kind of hospitality thing. That's really early stages in planning though.
Yeah.
There's really no plans. It's just, that would be cool. Okay, sweet. I'll just push that to the side now.
Yeah.
Because I can see the opportunity within this new space.
Yeah.
Being a big one. And I want to ride that. And that's pretty much it. We're actually quite far through just the next planning for the next space. And it's really just finding a space and then we can action it straight away.
Yeah, cool.
So we're very, very close to that. But after that, it's like horizon. It's just like, it's like smooth, whatever happens kind of thing.
Sick.
And that might change. My goal actually is to have my partner not work, so she can really chase her art passion career. Yeah, and she's doing really well with that. That's my not my next goal, but the one after that. Once I've got 2 spaces.
Not the end goal, but before the end goal.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like that would really help her as well in doing what she wants to do and what she's passionate about. Yeah, cool. Because I saw the benefit of me doing what I wanted to do, not just doing something because it paid the bills.
Yeah.
And it's 1 step back for 2 steps forward. And she probably won't make as much money straight away, but eventually it's like, she could make more and she's way happier and she's doing what she wants to do and she's at home with the dog every day, or dogs, hopefully like 10 of them every day, and she's painting and doing what she wants to do. So. And
as Biggie says, more money, more problems. So there's definitely a law of diminishing returns when it comes to income and happiness.
That's right.
As I'm sure you could probably find anyone on social media that's got, flashing their cash and probably don't see what's going on behind the scenes as much.
For sure.
I know a few of my mates as well, just far more likely to go, you know what, I want a little bit less money to make sure I do not hit the threshold of problems.
Right, yeah. What do you reckon that is?
I've had this chat with some people before, and they reckon like a stable 60 grand a year income for an individual. I don't know if that's a partner, like with a couple, but it's like, I could just operate on that.
Right.
And I don't need anything flashy.
After tax?
I think it's after tax. I don't know exactly, we didn't get into details, but
sure.
It's like, cool, 60 grand, yeah, say 60k net, with a job that is not, like, it's more lifestyle balance. So it's a case of, if I can have that just trickling in, and then go do 30 hours a week to keep the brain stimulated. I can still enjoy holidays, can do activities, be adventurous, get a little bit indulgent. Hey, and with COVID, you can't really spend money traveling, so I don't know what it would be for me, but for some reason, for a lot of people, I think that's a pretty good marker if you've got a really good balance if you can balance your work and life, which I believe is definitely on the person and less so the work.
Yeah, I agree. Some people need less of other stuff. I might have to put that on charge. I'll give it a minute. I'm on 4% on my laptop right now.
We might just do a little pause.
I'll give it 2 minutes.
After a brief interlude, we're back.
We're back.
But yeah, I think that to recap, there's the 60k marker for, I think it's like work-life balance, I think was what we're referencing, and that the onus of a good work-life balance is on the employee, not the employer, to a point. Obviously everything contractual has got to be upheld, but prioritising life, and I heard from my osteo recently, it's like for a lot of people, they work to live. Not everyone. Some people work to gain X financial incentive, stimulate promotions and blah blah blah. A lot of people are motivated differently in that regard. But I would say 70% of people would work to live. It's like I work to get a check to go and live.
Yeah.
And I feel like in our industry it's slightly different, but it's a fraction of the workforce.
Right.
What are your thoughts? Do you work to live?
I don't know how to answer that.
While you're thinking on that, can recommend these concoctions that we've made, which is a shot of coffee with a block of ice filled up with tonic water. So it's quite a humid day here in Adelaide, and quite refreshing. The tonic just gives it a little bit of a slightly different flavour, but you still get that caffeine hit. So
big recommend.
For those that are wondering, thinking we got like spiders or something, it is.
You got any ice cream?
No, definitely a bit. Yes, what do you reckon? Work to live, or what's your motivation behind work?
To keep creating opportunities, I think, for myself and for my partner and for my mates. I'm big on that. I'm big on bringing people up with you.
Yeah.
And having a tight circle, but not being opposed to allowing people in the circle. I think that's important. Otherwise, you're just stuck with the same. Not stuck with. That sounds terrible. Sorry for my mates that I've been mates with forever. Otherwise, you are in a way stuck with the same people and the same mindsets, and you're just getting this confirmation bias constantly about, all right, this is the way like 27-year-old dudes think. Cool, I'll just like maintain that. Whereas, as you said before, you want to be challenged constantly, and I think that comes from conversing with new people, and not people of the same, like cut from the same cloth. Like talk to people that are older and younger and different backgrounds and have different jobs and have different mindsets towards stuff. Like it'd be really interesting to actually chat with someone, because you and I are very similar in the way that we're very driven. Yeah. And we want the best out of ourselves and of the people around us. But it'd be really interesting to talk to someone who just goes to their job. That's just what they do. Like they
work to live.
They do their 9 to 5 and they collect their check, and for me it just is so different to how I think.
Yeah.
But that might be most people. I think it is most people, but it is just so different to how I think, that it would be interesting to get their take on stuff that you and I think about, like creating business and scalability, and
it sounds as exhausting as it is. It can be at times.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's
I know. I think for me, like the work life comes into, or work to live comes into. I'm not working to live. I'm working and living at the same time. Which is the benefit and one of the perks of why, or the reasons I'm in this industry, is to be able to have that flexibility, because my job is something I enjoy doing, even for myself. So I don't know, like, I can't think of another example, but like I work on my own health and fitness, and I help others with their health and fitness.
Yeah.
Not everyone would do that on a daily basis within their own job, within their own career path. So there is a blurred line between work and life, but if I'm constantly living what I'm doing, it becomes a far easier thing to do. So therefore, I can actually allow more time to do the things that I want to do.
That's perfect. Yeah, I've never really heard it like that. I really like that. How you just because you and I live and breathe this stuff, it makes it so much, well, your job is pretty different than my job, but it's in the same space, I suppose. So, yeah, man, I really like that. We live and breathe it, so it makes it so much easier for us to deliver the product, because it's like,
we're doing it.
That's just the thing, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what we do. Yeah, and also it makes it so much easier because I do all the training within the program of the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't write it, but I do it all, which again just like adds that experiential level of like, this is what it's going to feel like, or this is where it's hard and this is where it's easy. If you're an accountant, it's probably a bit different because you do your own accounting and.
But even like any sort of trade, you will do it for yourself, but you're not doing it for yourself daily.
Yeah.
And it's not improving your quality of life daily.
That might be the thing.
Like what are you doing? You're in some sort of corporate, or you're in like oil and gas, and you're, working on projects that need to get done. You then go home and you have your switch off time. You then try and train your body and your mind for your own self health. Meditate, yoga, whatever that is for you that allows you to switch off. You've then got a family and blah, 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 blah. Whereas I feel like there is it's a different scale when it comes to the health or anyone that lives what they do, or what they get paid for, I guess, which is a really exciting thing to identify, I guess, but also it allows the activity lifestyle, or like, as I call it, like I play a lot of golf, so I have the ability on a Thursday at 3 p.m. to go and play some golf. I can think back to when my old man was 31, or probably can't, I was 4, but in his 30s, there's no way on a Thursday at 3 p.m. he's playing golf.
Yeah.
He's in an office, and that is that generation, and he was in corporate. But now he can, he works for himself, and if he wanted to, he could go on Thursday at 3 p.m. and go play golf, and that's, it makes it the same. One of my mates I was playing golf with on a Thursday when I had this realisation, we both did. Like, this is pretty nuts, like he's 30, I'm 31. His dad used to be a pilot. So a little bit of a different flexible, a little different lifestyle, but like no, kind of on call when I need to fly, I need to fly.
Yeah.
And whenever we choose to play golf, we can play golf. So such a bizarre change in generations.
Yeah, we're so lucky to be in this generation, I think. Right after the working generation.
Yeah.
Right before this massive technological generation. So we can kind of reap the rewards of both. I feel like we get the drive and the work ethic of our parents and our grandparents, and we can utilize that work ethic with technology.
Yeah.
And they interface with each other perfectly.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like, we can do this. This is like a great example of that.
Yeah.
Same with everything online. Like I don't know how much detail you want to go into, but your job is completely through your laptop.
Yeah.
Or computer or whatever. That's pretty amazing. My parents couldn't have done that when they were our age.
Oh.
Definitely not my grandparents. That was still like on horse and carriage, I reckon.
I think, even the flexibility allowed from employers as well, and the forced some forced decisions made by last year's pandemic and the ongoing pandemic, if you want to live in WA, is such that, hey, people still need to work from home, people need to be able to work remotely or fulfill a task without being micromanaged over the back of them and getting into that cubicle every day. Obviously the software's out there that you can do that now, and it can be monitored and managed, and that's a new skill set that's being constantly developed and refined that probably hasn't been there in the past. Like, you think back 10 years, no one's working from home. Very few people working from home, because how do you manage it? How can I trust that they get done, that the job gets done? But now the trust is forced.
That's a huge benefit from this.
Oh, it is for sure, but there's big learning curves being made by various employers, I can imagine, across the world, because it's like, well, now you're really going to see who works. Like I always see it as like links in a chain, and if you have a team of 10 and one link's broken, the others only have to bring up 10%. If you have a small team of, say, 4, I'll do easy maths, if you have a small team of 3 and one of those links breaks, the other 2 are going to be working at 150% to cover that one person. So you can see that even more so when someone goes remote. It's like, because they're now alone. So the task is getting done or it's not. And the metrics can't get blurred. So yeah, I'm just shocked that I keep bringing up metrics, but like, it's an easy way to measure an outcome. I think it's an exciting prospect for years to come, because I feel like, all the infrastructure in the world is going to slowly diminish if it hasn't already, in terms of the office buildings and things like that. People are going to be opting for more pleasant working environments, be it at home or at an office, so they might have more space because people want to work from home. So instead of having a cubicle, a floor of 30 people, you might have a floor of 10 people because the other 20 want to work from home. So you get that buy-in, or you get that hot desking experience that can be, we don't need all these desks, we can put couches in, we can make it a little bit more of an enjoyable space for people to want to come into.
Yeah, like Google Office.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude. Yeah, I would love to go there and see that.
Just to wander around.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, as they're like fixing my Gmail account, or what? I don't know. What do they do?
Well, Google, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Develop the next
Algorithm.
Yeah.
Dude, I was watching an episode of Joe Rogan the other day, and it's where it's the same guys, or the same guy that created The Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
And the toxicity, I suppose, or the negativity around the algorithms of Facebook.
Yeah, right.
And his job when he got hired there was like algorithms manager or something like that. And then he ended up having iterations of his job, and he ended up being basically, in a long-winded way, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably butchering it, but how to capture people's attention, but ethically and morally. Because there's so many like unethical, immoral ways of doing that.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time still, but yeah, really interesting. And maybe that's what they're doing.
Oh man, like I was actually watching some NBL last night, thinking of capturing attention, and the amount of advertising that goes on in an NBL court, not even on the uniforms, just on the court,
right,
to try and vie for a piece that can be marketed to the viewers and the people in the stadium. And advertising has just gone ridiculous, obviously to the point of social media where you can literally target, I want Luke, he's 27, lives in Adelaide, owns a gym, I want to sell this product.
So specific.
Like you could be so specific.
Yeah, I was watching the TV last night, we were, Saturday, we were babysitting and the baby accidentally turned it on, and then there was some like shitty Christmas movie on, and I was watching it, but I was more specifically watching the ads in between, and I couldn't believe how gripping they are. Yeah. And they're so they just suck you in. It could be, I don't know, like a lawnmower or something. Whatever it is, it's all that, but they put all their money into that.
Yeah.
Like in marketing is so important that they put all their money into this thing to grip people, to grab their attention. It's like the war on attention. That's what they call it. It's crazy stuff. And I think that kind of comes back to what we were talking about before with you backing in, or you telling people to back themselves in the workplace and what they know. I think it's so hard to grab people's attention.
Yeah. Because
there's so much noise out there, especially in the fitness industry. That's where I think a lot of that comes from.
Yeah, true.
And it's like, why do I even try when I can't get through all this noise and all this stuff that's going on? It happens in every
100%.
In every field, I guess, of fitness. I think specifically, I've never really done anything but be in the fitness industry, so I can't talk on business or or really anything else. But especially in fitness, even in stuff that you would think is very regimented, like strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
There's all this shit that just somehow seeps in because it's grabbing and it gets people's attention, and then that's when it gets clicks and likes and shares and comments, and so more people see it, and it's a toxic kind of whirlwind.
It's like snowball. I think that's it. For me. As soon as I have those thoughts, it's like just start because you just never know who's watching. I had a PT that worked at a gym that I was at in Perth, and a client come up to him after 2 years and say, I've been watching you for 2 years, I want to come and be your client, just from watching him in the gym.
Crazy.
And he's like, if I was to ever refer someone to a PT in Perth, it would be him.
Right.
Solid, knows his shit, really down to earth bloke, never compromises who he is as a person, always on, and I can imagine that would take time and effort, and there'd be times where he wouldn't want to be on for sure, but stand up bloke, and I think that pays off for those sort of outcomes. And when it comes to the promotion or the stuff that we see, again, it's the stuff that we see because we're in the industry. You got people that have just signed up to a gym. You are the person that is on that level for them. So they're going to just eat up what you say, and it's not until they get to I've been here for 4 years or 3 years or 2 years whatever it is, that they start going, oh, there's a bodybuilding competition, oh, there's a powerlifting competition, oh, who's the best powerlifter? Oh, let me follow them, like blah, 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 blah. That's where I think we miss the mark sometimes as fitness professionals on a smaller scale, at least to begin with. And it's like just to give people the confidence. You have an audience. Your audience might not be huge, but you have an audience. It could be one person.
Sure.
Could be being an example to your family because they will eat up what you say, because they back you and they trust you. You know, you see, I don't even know what Fitspo people are out there anymore. I don't really have any social media, so it's so refreshing.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know who people follow, but it's like they get followed because they are liked and trusted to be a source of information, whether that's valid or not. So if you can back your knowledge and you know it's true, and sometimes that's the hard part as well, there'll be people who just like you and will trust your knowledge.
Yep.
And will buy into it, and after 2 years or 6 months or whatever, they'll go, hey, I want to come and train wherever you're at, or thank you, like I've actually been following the once a week workout you put up and I've actually lost a little bit of weight. Appreciate you've never heard from me, but thanks for doing that for free. And
yeah,
that's
like empowering.
That's massive. Like you'll just put out free content forever if you did that, for sure.
Right.
Not saying we shouldn't get paid, we should definitely get paid. But yeah, I think you just never know who's watching in all senses of the word. So you got to take the good with the bad, but as we all know, the good far outweigh the bad. We just highlight the bad when it comes to, you know, the self-doubt in the whole world is growing massively.
It's a massive contrast, isn't it? Because we emphasize the bad in ourselves, and places like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter only emphasizes the good, or people only emphasize the good in themselves.
Yeah.
So it's this massive divide, and it feels like it's just getting further and further apart. Of the bad is really bad, at least in our minds, and the good people are really, really good. And it's not really the case.
No.
You know, I think people on average are like pretty much the same as they always have been. We just have this knowledge available to us, but people are so desperate for that attention that they only put out the hyper good.
Yeah.
And they really suppress anything that is like less than good. And then that creates this huge divide between people. So yeah, I don't know how you've got through without social media. I think it's commendable. I could do it. I don't really care for it. I see it as a business tool, but I don't really feel the grip towards like the likes or the comments or like any of that stuff. But I understand the benefit of getting, like, for a business standpoint, getting the brand out there and creating stuff that is, I guess, like in my own way, utilizing the algorithm to get attention for the business.
To ethically market to people.
Always ethically and morally. Always.
Oh, that's a business tool. They're fantastic business tools, and I think that's what the basis of them is at the moment. That's how they make their money. That's how Facebook is $1 billion company. That's how Google is $1 billion company. It's not because they want to be a healthy, happy search engine to help people, educate people. But they're targeting marketing ads and whatever it is. So same with Facebook, same with Instagram. They're all owned by the same company. So yeah.
Do you think you'll ever get on it?
Sorry?
Do you think you'll ever get on there?
Instagram?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I got back on, but it's been 18 months. Nearly. Next month will be 18 months, and my life hasn't changed. You know, I haven't lost out. I think if I didn't have to have Facebook for work, I possibly wouldn't have Facebook. But I do enjoy Facebook for the staying connected to friends and family in different states and that sort of stuff. That's probably one of the big things for me at the moment. If I was in Perth, it would be a lot easier to drop it off.
Yeah.
But creating new relationships in different areas, so it's a good way to stay connected to friends. But I think the scroll, I definitely don't have. I don't have that sort of desire to get on there and have all my eyes. But again, like going back to the ads thing, like I will pay for any subscription service, so I don't get advertised to. KO is all my sport. I will not watch free to air. YouTube I pay for. I just don't want ads.
Yeah.
I don't. For me, and if I could pay for Facebook to not get ads, I'd probably save more money. I actually save money. The amount of ads, even yesterday, I got targeted this, like, probably knows that I'm trying to buy things for my girlfriend for Christmas. So I'm getting women's apparel. And I actually go, so did you want this? What other colours does it come in? And then you scroll and you buy it. It's bad. It's a bad time. So, I'm pretty happy off it. I think there will come a time where I'll jump back on again, but never say never sort of thing, but it's not there's a part of me that definitely wants to get back on, but it's like, oh, what's the trade-off?
Right.
What am I gaining out of it? I'm probably losing time.
Do you ever think any goals related to that?
Social media?
Yeah.
No. Getting on social media.
Yeah, like
Right.
business related or... I guess because you're an employee, I mean, you could still drive traffic to your business.
No, not really. Like, I enjoy YouTube. In terms of its actual content, it is still, created. It's curated and that sort of stuff, but it's less marketed. And I just watch a lot of golf on YouTube. So again, more sport, more competition. But no, not really. Yourself?
I don't know, again, I see the benefit because of the business side of things. And also because I want to be at the forefront of providing information to people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important as well. And there's no better place really to do it than social media.
Yeah.
So I can see the benefit of that. However, in terms of like promoting myself, I don't really care for it. I wouldn't care if Instagram went down tomorrow. I definitely wouldn't care if Facebook went down tomorrow. I feel like Facebook is like, besides staying connected to people, Messenger is really big, but the actual Facebook app itself, I feel like is the trenches.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I don't know how to, even my recommended pages are just like bullshit, basically. Like it's not even, I don't even follow them, but yet I'm still seeing them all the time, coming up and promoting stuff that I don't even need to see. I guess maybe I would like to, kind of going back on what I just said, I guess I would like to promote myself as a person, I guess, as a coach, not so much as a trainer, but as an athlete, I suppose. Not that I'm an athlete really of any like good caliber, but even still like being a testament to what we do at the gym. I feel like that's an important standpoint. And I feel like it gives that relatability rather than the hyper curated advertisements that you'll see of the gym where it's like a bunch of 10s working out and they're like crushing this workout, and it's all like, really edited really perfectly and it looks amazing and it's really gripping. I would like to show the steady grind of what it actually is like.
100%.
Of like what it takes to get stronger or what it takes to, build for half a marathon or...
And I think that's where, like, for me, YouTube is a better platform. Purely from the sense of like you can actually put out more frequent content that is less flashy, and it still get viewed. Not that it's about the view, but it's like cool. Like, I'm about to go into isolation in a couple of days because I won't get political on this podcast, but I have to because I need to. And one of my thoughts was like, cool, I'm going to document every day. I'm going to document every day in some capacity. Could be boring, could be monotonous. But like just for exactly that reason, like the grind of what it is, day in, day out, but how much more self-aware, proficient at a skill, whatever it is, I'll become in 14 days. Like habits take 3 weeks to really get ingrained, 21 days, something like that.
You can do it in 14, you're a regimented.
We'll see. But yeah, just that sort of stuff, like cool. So what does journaling for 14 days create as a habit? What does, if it's meditating, yoga, actually doing 30 minutes of bodyweight exercise, or if I can pinch some dumbbells from work or something like that. What's the pre and post in terms of intrinsically as well as maybe externally, physically or mentally or whatever it is. All that sort of stuff like that. You're not just going to go, hey guys, here I am on Facebook again or Instagram again doing this.
Yeah.
Here I am writing. Like, you know what I mean?
That's the story, isn't it?
I feel like you can create a movie or a vlog, for want of a better term, that can document it and hold that information and present it and present information better in that space.
Yeah, I feel like it's more important now than ever, I feel, to show that contrast of how slow some things are. Like it isn't always just, all right, you sign up to the gym and suddenly 8-pack. It's like, there's more to it than that.
What do you mean?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't know.
Please. Jason.
Greek god. Or Italian god, I should say. Are there any Italian gods?
Roman.
Right, oh, of course, yeah. Of course. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. So.
I'm very distracting there. No, I think the grind. Like, nothing happens. An easy one that we use at work is like, you didn't gain 20 kilos in 6 weeks. You're not going to lose 20 kilos in 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's the great one.
You know, all that sort of stuff. So I think, the monotony of life. There's even a paper. I don't know why I'm looking around, but I actually have the paper. My dad actually printed it out and gave it to me. It's like the monotony of life, or the monotony of excellence, is what actually gets you to excellence. You know, it's the day in, day out grind. It's not a case of like doing anything special.
Right.
It's literally just showing up day one, in the morning, in the evening, during the day, every day. I actually sat down with, so yesterday, and kind of went through my goals with her for next year, and in some detail. She was like, I see you go through, you're an all or nothing sort of person. I see you go through these waves of giving it everything. Like, I just don't know when to push you, to keep you in check for what you want. Like, how badly do you want these things? And my acknowledgement and my realization of that was like, it's exactly what I'm telling you. Like, I'm gonna wane. I can guarantee it. Like, everyone has motivation to a point, but it's when the shit gets hard that's when you either need your support network or internally motivated or whatever it is to go, hey, you said you're going to do that. You haven't done it for 2-3 days now, a week now. What's going on? And, you know, if I'm the one to react and go, hey, mind your business, that's on me, that's not on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is the monotony, and it is the consistent grind, for want of a less flashy word, or less, key word of 2022.
Yeah, that's the cliche.
To yield a result. And that's what people don't see. Like you said, that you only hear about the Olympians once every 4 years.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't hear about Australian swimmers outside of Com Games or Olympics. You don't hear about our next best track runner outside of the Stall Gift, yeah.
Not sure.
I can't remember what that is. Or the Olympics. You just don't hear about it. But they've been working every single day for 4 years.
Man, that's what motivates me. I love that. And I would rather see 4 years of the grind than, like, if I had to pick, in my mind, that's an easy choice. I'd rather see 4 years of the grind than one event of like an excellent performance.
Yeah. You follow, and that's why people have followers. Like, they see their journey.
That's true.
That's why people like buy into people being excellent, because it's like, hey, like, especially the ones that are really across the people they follow. Like, hey, I remember when you were just this, and now I can see you here. And that's really cool. That's rewarding for individuals to watch someone do that. Imagine how rewarding it is for that person as well.
Sure.
So I think that, like, for me, documenting that sort of stuff is going to be a really big focus for next year. Just not necessarily to document a grind, but just for myself to go, yeah, remember when it was really hard? Like, here's a vision of you doing it because it was really hard. It's like, yeah, cool, I can do it. Next thing.
Right.
Next thing. As opposed to doing it for 3. Like, one of the biggest things for this year for me was not drinking for 4 months. It was unreal. Like, oh, that was actually so easy.
It's big.
It was actually one of the easiest things I've ever done once I got past. I had a big enough why, so I had a really easy why. But once you're just like, no, this is part of who I am, then that's just what you do.
Right.
So I think taking that mentality into different aspects for next year, it's just going to mean a little bit more of a, hopefully an exponential, #COVID, exponential growth, or exponential just journey. Not even growth, just journey. It's not always up. So,
do you want to expand on what kind of growth you're looking for?
Like I say, I love a challenge. I'll know it when it comes to me. I don't know. It'll be the next hardest thing. Whatever's next and whatever's hard, that'll be the next growth, the next point of growth. So it's not a case of I really want to get to here. It's a case of, if I can push myself in areas that I may not have otherwise pushed myself before, and then mentally get through them, physically get through them, what does that set me up for in terms of a persona or a skill set or a background for me in other areas that I can go, hey, well, I can lean on that experience as an example, like the mentality behind not drinking. It's not actually that hard when you just do it.
Sure.
Wanting to do half marathons at a set pace, it's just like, well, I just got to, basically, my logic, I just got to do the running.
Right.
I just do the running and get it. Just do the work. Like, it's that simple. And so then when I hit that goal, people go, oh, that was easy. And that'll set me up for, like, someone presents something that looks like a challenge. It's not really that
I've
hard.
done this. So yeah, that's one of the main psychological and mental benefits I think of fitness and overcoming adversity generally. And I say that to people all the time. It's like you need to challenge yourself so that your daily challenges are now just like a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, whether that be like
train harder than you play, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So in the gym, that should be the hardest thing that you do, not like I'm just going to cruise through this gym session because my day is so hard.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's important to train earlier or like before work. So then you can look, well for me, I look forward to training, regardless how easy or hard the session is or what the focus is, whether it's strength or whether it's like some, you know, like pain cave inducing conditioning workout. I really enjoy that, and I enjoy the different feelings and the different stimuli, I guess, of fitness in that the strength stuff and that buzzed feeling that you get after with your nervous system's just like fried after some heavy deadlifts or like running 21.1 kilometers or whatever. Like that feeling is different again. I just love the hurt of it in a strange, not like saddest way, but because I just understand that like I haven't been through a lot, but I've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I can overcome going to the gym every day and doing stuff that hurts every day and overcoming it and constantly showing up and having that discipline to go through that grind consistently, then really anything that comes up is not going to be that much of a challenge.
100%.
And I'm really only seeing the benefit of that, I feel now, like in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Like corresponds directly with the gym opening up as it is now. My mentality has never been better.
Yeah, I see.
In that I'm fully confident in myself and my abilities, and I'm thankful, and I understand that I've had a lot of luck and a lot of opportunities come to me through luck and kind of being in the right place at the right time, and also maybe some hard work as well, and being a good person. I can see that now, but I feel like I'm only really seeing the benefit of sticking to it now, and I think I've said this so many times, and if I've taught a lot of people the PT qualification. I said this from the start. I wasted the first 4 years of my career.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've almost wasted the first 26 years of my life in a way, having not been at this point mentally. I wish, and this is hindsight, but I wish I could have known what I know now when I was 17 and where I could be at. And
you can't be that having gone through that. Like you just wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is so it's a silly thing to think that you could do that. So again, I'm thankful, and I think that comes from like creeping up on 30 and being like, oh man, I haven't achieved what I thought I would have achieved in the time, because is this the right saying? You can't see the forest through the trees or for the trees or something like that. It's like I have done a lot in the last, especially 2 years, as I've said before. But still, like I'm not where I want to be. So when you said it's not hunger for you, it's hunger for me. Like I'm hungry for this thing, and not in like the sense of like a pack animal, like you know, hunting on a little lamb. Like I'm hungry to be an individual that does stuff and becomes successful, but in all the right ways.
100%.
With integrity and being genuine and being kind and bringing others up along for the way. Because you could easily do something. What's the saying? You can go, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go, no, what is it? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far,
further together.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand the benefit of bringing people up along with you as well, and I'm just really looking forward to the next 5 years. I think it's going to be huge for both of us, and I'm really keen. But again, I'm not really planning so much besides what we talked about before with the second and third space, but I've got opportunities, and I've got meetings later this week about opportunities, and it's just like a constant thing. It's
sick, man.
It's good.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. Yeah. And I've never really given myself the opportunity to be excited about stuff like that. And I'm never, I mean, everyone that really has ever spent any serious time with me will agree with me here. I'm never content. Like I'm always chasing the next thing. Ivana will tell you that. And it annoys her because she's like the opposite.
Yeah.
She's like, just be happy with where you're at. Like you're doing stuff, and I'm like, no, I really need to just drive for this thing. Like,
big time.
You know? And I'm not sure if you're the same as that.
Yeah, definitely part of me. absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it's always looking for something else, or the next thing, or whatever it is. But and again, so is the same. Just be content. I'm learning to be content with where I am a lot more. It's not a trade-off. It's not the more content I am, the less I want. But I'm very aware, like I say, like I often acknowledge where I was 12 months ago.
Yeah.
I think cool, in 12 months I've accomplished this, which is always a really cool, like literally to the day. So it's currently the 13th of December. Hadn't even moved to Adelaide a year ago today. Still had Christmas, packing, didn't really hadn't signed the lease on where we're staying, a bit unnerved, and now been here for a year, about to go into a second year, travelled all this year, 9 trips back and forth to Perth, all that sort of stuff to go. It's not the year I thought I was going to have, but it's not to say I haven't accomplished things. So that allows me in those moments to be content and acknowledge the journey, not necessarily the end goals. I'm not chasing the next thing as much.
I want to come back to something you just said. You kind of glazed over it, but I think it's an important note that it's not a trade-off between being content and having drive. That is a bit of a realization, I guess, for me, and I've never really thought about it like that. And I've always thought the more content you are, the slower you're moving.
Yeah, okay.
And that doesn't have to be the case, I guess.
Not at all, man.
Yeah. I guess it's hard. It's not really. It's like hitting something in my ego. I think it's it's bouncing off and it's going, no, that's wrong. That couldn't possibly be the case, but it must be. You must be able to see where you are compared to a year ago, as you just said, and be like, you know what, I actually have achieved a lot, and I can reflect on it. And I've told a 10-minute long story before about the last 4.5 years, or the last 2 years. So I am aware of where I have been, but that doesn't stop me from wanting to be more.
I wouldn't say you're not content with where you are.
That's true. I am, because I just said that I'm in the best place I ever have been mentally.
Like you acknowledge where you are. I think others just want us to acknowledge it for longer.
Yeah, no, I'm happy just with an instant.
Cool,
it's a passing by. I'm like seeing it on the bus on the way past, and then I'll just keep trudging away on my path.
Nice. I think that's probably a good way to wrap it up, and maybe step into the next year, or hopefully I think it's going to get released at the start of the year anyway. So, a good way to kind of reflect on what 2021 has been. We'll be leading to the next one about what 2022 may bring.
Sure.
Not planning necessarily, but speaking things into fruition and manifesting outcomes, and maybe setting some specific targets for. I know that's how I like to operate, so might see what the next one brings. But
huge.
Good to have the first one under the belt, and here's to the next chat.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.